Hey there, guys. Dragon Master here, and I want to welcome you to Star Wars in Earth, Episode 21, Codename The Plan. So, all I have to say is that we are getting super close to the final video of this series, and that's all I have to say. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. It has been a year since the Empire had destroyed Earth, and the Terrans were forced to flee to the world of Zakul in wild space. But Terrans for the past year have been rebuilding all they can with all the survivors of basically all of the Terrans' territories that were destroyed, along with Earth itself. They evacuated as many people as they could, but sadly there was just too many people and they couldn't get them all, so many people did die, leaving many families broken. The Terrans, after Earth was destroyed, picked up everyone they could and then made it to Zakul, basically setting up at the old ruins of the cities on Zakul and starting to rebuild all they could. They spent the next couple months rebuilding the city up and getting everything operational again. They also began studying the Empire's, Zakul's spire, where the Eternal Throne used to be, studying many of its contexts and also starting to tear some of it down as they didn't need such a long tower. But they decided they would turn this tower, after a few changes, into the new operation place of the Terran Alliance. The Terrans also focused on rebuilding their fleet, and they used old Eternal Empire ships they found, along with a few Gemini droid captains they found, and studied this technology. After they had studied it for a month, they decided to put these ships in their fleet as well, but they got rid of the Gemini droid as they viewed it could be a problem, so they destroyed them. On other news, the Terrans have been using spies for the past year to basically find out what's going on. These spies were deep within the Empire and across the galaxy. Hackett and Anderson kept in contact with them, and Udini, Udini was one of the few remaining survivors of the Terrans' High Command Council, political council at least. The Terran High Command of the fleet was put under Hackett, Anderson, and Thrawn. Garrus decided to take control of land forces and retired his post of admiral of his fleet, as after Rex's death had changed him a lot, as the two were good friends. Garrus decided to lead troops into battle instead of commanding fleets in space, which Hackett and Anderson and Thrawn understood and respected his decision. Garrus did swear that he would get payback at the Empire for what they had done for his, basically forcing his friend to sacrifice himself, also destroying his homeworld. The Terrans also found out about how Hoth had fallen, and the rebels were forced to flee, and now go in a fleet across the galaxy, trying to outrun the Empire, and making sure they're not caught. The Terrans have also heard that the Empire had been reclaiming the worlds they had captured, but not without resistance, as the Terrans had given the locals guns and all sorts of weapons to fight against the Imperial soldiers, and they decided to fight back with these weapons. This only caused further chaos, as the Empire now had to focus back and getting control of the mid and outer rim, which was not easy, because after their invasion of the Terran Alliance, they had used many of their resources, and were now being forced to use what little they had left. The invasion of Earth especially had taken a huge dive on their resources, as to launch such a battle against such a world with such defenses would be costly, but Palpatine did not care. But now this was biting him back. And Palpatine decided that he would need to get control back into the galaxy, so he'd have to use his secret weapon. And the Terrans were able to find out that he was building a second Death Star through a few spies. The second Death Star was currently at Endor, and it was only half complete, really. It was still being basically completed and had not finished yet. This made the Terrans worried, as a second Death Star, most likely they would know what the flaw was, and it would be basically invincible, and they realized this could be a problem. So they eventually decided that they would have to basically contact the rebels. So the new council that was emergency elected to be in charge of all major decisions was Thrawn, Anderson, Hackett, Udini, and one Terran councilman who is on the political, council back on Earth. He was one of the few remaining survivors along with Udini. These five were basically in charge of all major decisions involving military and construction. They all decided that they would have to help the rebels destroy the Death Star, but their fleet, well, much of their fleet had been destroyed. And they did have a small fleet, but they were currently still not strong enough to engage the Empire in a major battle. But Fron then decided that what if they got Shepard to combine his fleet? And the Terrans, well, basically, the Council wondered this as well. As through their spies, they had found out after Earth was destroyed, Shepard was not happy. He and his sister had been waging a devastating war against the Empire. Well, a small war, but it was devastating nonetheless. He'd combined all what was left of the fleets that were with him in the townships that were not in the Terran Alliance colonies or territory, and combined them into one flotilla, which had been fighting the Empire. They had done much damage to the Empire. They mostly did surprise attack on Imperial bases. Attack killed every Imperial that they saw and then moved on. Raided everything and took everything. They had even constructed a new basically a new capital ship with the ship that Shepard was put in charge of, and made it into a basically hub and battle station ship. Thrawn had to admit it was quite impressive. He'll give Shepard credit for that. So, after much deliberation, they decided to send contact to Shepard, who they thought they were all dead, along with his sisters, as they were not able to contact them in case the Empire was currently listening in, as Palpatine had executed an order that any Terran or Terran supporter, or anyone who basically had even met a Terran, was to be executed. The last one was metaphoric, really. He isn't actually serious with the last one, but on the news. So, to make sure that they were extinct, as Palpatine did not want any Terrans to exist, as they had ruined his plans enough, and he viewed them as an actual threat to his power. Vader would hunt down the Terran's flotilla, or a nickname that they were given was the Destruction Corps, as wherever they went, they left unimaginable destruction upon the Empire's bases. Vader would slaughter through them, but they would fight back even fiercer, and anyone they would capture would wish they had been killed. I won't go into details, but the Imperials that were captured basically were interrogated, tortured, and then killed. But basically, the Destruction Corps under Shepard had become very dark and showed no mercy to the Empire, as they had shown no mercy to them. So they decided to contact Shepard along with the Rebel Alliance, and they decided to send help to Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker, who they had finally found Han Solo, who the Terrans had found out through their spies had been captured by the Empire and then given to Boba Fett, who then brought it to Jabba the Hutt. They decided to send one of their spies to go help them, and this spy's name will be revealed in the next episode. With that said, the Terrans would immediately send a message to both of them and request them to head to Zakul. They would only give this to the high-ranking commanders of both groups to make sure that there weren't any raiders among the rebels. And for Shepard's group, the Shepard's group had been recruiting people from basically resistant corps or resistant groups to join up with them, and had been growing a small fleet of their own, but they didn't know if there were any spies among them, so they had to be careful. So the message would be sent out, and once both factions heard about this, they immediately sent an envoy to Zakul to have a meeting, and that is where we're going to leave this episode off. So I just want to say I'm happy how much the channel is growing, and we are so close to the finale of the series, and that's really all I have to say. So please comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and bye.